There are a lot of similarities between the challenges that are faced by cities in Australia and in the United States when it comes to climate change. It's also interesting that both Australia and the United States are some of the highest per capita generators of greenhouse gases. So we are both sharing a lot of responsibility for global warming and the kind of challenges that we're talking about facing. And yet both countries also face considerable impacts from climate change. What we've seen is a tremendous amount of initiative in certain states and in a number of cities in both countries to actually begin now to prepare for changes that we see already happening in some ways. And the kind of impacts we're concerned about are floods and storm surge and the results of major hurricanes and cyclones. Fires and wildfire has been a major problem in both countries. Drought, flooding, all of the kind of disasters that people are very familiar with here, we're having in the United States as well, and at a very large scale. And I think in a lot of ways cities have taken the lead, and mayors in many cases have taken the lead in responding to these challenges. We've documented that in the book. We've also looked at what more needs to be done and have really asked the question, are we up to it? Because this is going to be very difficult. But we see a lot of hope in the kind of creative work that's being done in many cities in the United States and Australia. And we see some benefit in sharing those experiences back and forth, which is why I've come over here. The obvious things are to protect yourself through structures in some cases where you can't move your investment very readily. Lower Manhattan is kind of hard to move. Some of it has to do with stepping back or retreating from the coast where that's appropriate. And otherwise, the general theme is to be resilient to these events. And resilience really means being able to take the hit and keep on functioning. So this involves moving infrastructure up from the lower levels of buildings so they don't flood out, and other common sense things like that. And these are not easy to do. They're expensive and require some imagination about what's to come. But I'd have to say the extreme climate events of the last few years, which have been seen around the world, but in particular in Australia and the United States, have made people take this more seriously than they might otherwise have done.